Well, hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the NOSSCAR GT Cup Series. This is the second round of the 2020 season, and tonight we're at the Blue Moon Bay Speedway. This 2-mile triangular circuit is a Gran Turismo fantasy track, which draws heavy inspiration from the famed Pocono Raceway in Pocono, Pennsylvania. Just like the tricky triangle, all three corners here at Blue Moon Bay require different approaches. Turn 1 is the only braking zone of the circuit, and we'll see drivers run the high line to set themselves up for a good exit down the long back straightaway, leading to the fast left-hander of Turn 2. Following Turn 2 is a short straightaway, leading into Turn 3, which drivers will only have to lift off the gas and set themselves up for a good exit back down the main straightaway leading into Turn 1. Slipstream is key here, but you don't want to carry too much speed into the corners as the outside wall comes at you fast on corner exit. Now, it's on to the starting lineup for the Blue Moon Bay Grand Prix. Starting on pole tonight here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway is JRB. Last week at Willow Springs, he had a podium fall right out of his grasp. He looks to redeem himself with a possible victory here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. Pac-Man starts second in line, and last week he won in his debut. Can he go 2 for 2 in 2020 with a win at Blue Moon? Bill Baldwin starts third, and last week he wrecked out of the lead and put on a heroic comeback drive to still stand on the bottom step of the podium. He looks to further redeem himself and maybe take a step higher up on the podium here tonight. It was a race to forget for Thomas Gayer last week, where he finished 12th. Tonight he starts 4th and looks to have a race to remember this time around. Can he possibly get that first podium of his career? Percussive starts 5th here tonight. He finished 4th last week. Also another driver who just saw the podium slip out of his grasp. He looks to one-up himself here at Blue Moon Speedway, starting at the tail end of the top 5. Jesse Carlson starts 6th yet again. He finished a solid 7th last week at Willow Springs in his debut, and he looks to wheel that Corvette to a possible first top 5 of his career. Trenton Krentz starting further down the field than he would like in his Supra. He starts 7th. He finished 2nd at Willow Springs, and he looks to drive his way through the field tonight and get into that top 5, maybe onto the podium. Last season's Blue Moon Bay Speedway Grand Prix winner, Tyler Mcmurder, starts 8th in his GTR. That's further down than he was last year, where he started on pole. Can he get his GTR up through the field tonight? Rob Oglesby starts inside the top 10 in his first Blue Moon start. We look to take that Hyundai Genesis further up the list than he is starting at. Quarter Pounder Outlaw makes his first career start after missing last week. He starts 10th in the last starting Toyota and the second Supra in the field. Robert Lohman Sr. starts 11th in his Corvette, followed by his Corvette teammate Chris Ryan starting 12th, rounding out the field. JRB will lead the field of 11 Group 3 cars to the green flag to start tonight's event. Chris Ryan's Corvette dropped out already. He couldn't get it started, and here we go. Green flag at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. JRB will lead the field into Turn 1 for the first time. And we'll see them go through Turn 1 probably about 80 times, meaning about 80 laps here tonight, under 45-second lap times. And in an hour-long event, that's going to give us a lot of racing, a lot of laps, a lot of action. Early on, we'll see drivers try to stay in the slipstream of the guys around him, maybe save some fuel, as pit stops here are very important. And through lap 1, we see the first 4 break away a little bit of JRB, Pac-Man, Bill Baldwin, and Thomas Gayer. Percussive with Jesse Carlson right behind him. This is a second group of 4 cars. Trent Krentz and Tyler Mcmurder running 7th and 8th. Rob Oglesby, Quarter Panel Outlaw, run 9th and 10th. Rob Lohman Sr. runs 11th out of the draft. Back up front. This top 4 very close to one another. Pac-Man right on JRB's back bumper. Takes a peek to the outside out of Turn 2. And here comes Bill Baldwin to the inside of him. Through Turn 3, Bill Baldwin on the inside of Pac-Man. He's got to carry the momentum, and that's hard to do out of Turn 3, and can't quite do it. Thomas Gayer tried to take advantage of that, just quite couldn't. And into Turn 1, will he try to go for a move on Bill Baldwin? Diving it down to the inside. Yes, he goes for the move, and there's a bit of contact. He'll slide back into 4th, and through all that, that second group of 4 has caught right back up Percussive now is going to have a lot of momentum on Thomas Gayer, right on his back bumper, you see there. Through turn 2. You're not really going to get ever any moves done here unless the guy in front of you messes up. You got to stick with him and go for the move into turn 3, which is difficult itself. This here's Percussive trying to go to the outside of Thomas Gayer. Bit of contact, and Thomas Gayer's gone off. Here comes Jesse Carlson to the inside. He's going to get around Percussive. Thomas Gayer falls to the tail end of this top 8. Jesse Carlson up to 4th. Trent Krentz going for a move on Percussive, who's in the wall. And things just got very interesting here on laps 3 and 4. Through all that, Jesse Carlson gets from 6th to 4th. Percussive was 4th for a second, and then fell back to 5th. Trent Krentz from 7th to 6th, excuse me. Tyler Mcmurder goes from 8th to 7th, and Thomas Gayer goes from 4th to 8th. He made a big mistake at a turn 3. Don't know if there's some contact, but he went all the way to the very bottom of the track, lost all of his momentum. Luckily, stayed in the draft. But back up front, JRB still leads the way from Pac-Man, Bill Baldwin, now Jesse Carlson, just outside the podium positions. Now he goes for a move on Bill Baldwin through turn 1. And he might have it done. Yes, he does. Side by side with Bill Baldwin. Bill pulls in behind Jesse. And Jesse Carlson now up into the podium positions. Goes from 6th to 3rd in just about a lap and a half. A lot of moves from that 48 Corvette. Bill Baldwin takes a peek to the outside here. Can he get the move done? He's got to carry the momentum out of turn 3. Side by side down the main straight. Bill Baldwin's left front alongside Jesse Carlson's right rear. It'll be a tricky move, but as long as everybody in front of him stays on the high side, which they do, Bill will have the slipstream. So Jesse Carlson in the bad position in this battle. He might fall back even further than just 4th. The field fans out a little bit, and Jesse will fall back into 3rd. Somehow stayed in 3rd place. Bill Baldwin had the advantage of slipstream and momentum out of turn 1. But somehow Jesse holds position in P3. Now Jesse getting antsy right behind Pac-Man through turn 3, going for the move on last week's race winner. 2 rookies going at it for P2. Wiggles a little bit down the main straightaway. Is he trying to set up a move into turn 1? Jesse Carlson to the inside of Pac-Man for P2. Side by side, down the back straightaway. Jesse Carlson and Pac-Man. Jesse Carlson has the slipstream off of JRB, and Jesse Carlson will take P2. He's gone from 6th to 2nd in just about 2.5 laps. And that is Jesse Carlson, one of NOSSCAR's youngest driver, running in P2 right behind P1. JRB seeing all this action go on behind him, and Jesse's in the wall. Can he hold off everybody behind him? Percussive going down the inside of Bill Baldwin. Trent Krentz will follow. And he's going to get around Percussive. 2x2 through turn 1. Trent Krentz trying to hold off Percussive. Percussive back to his outside. And Trent Krentz will take P4 back. Bill Baldwin's fallen back to 6th. He must have had contact with the wall. And Timac has fallen back to 8th behind Thomas Gayer. Rob Oglesby runs 9th by himself. Quarter Panel Outlaw 10th. Rob Lohman Sr. but back up front. It's JRB still leading the way. He's led every lap. As many battles go on behind him. Jesse Carlson still holding off Pac-Man. And also still hanging on to JRB's back bumper. And into turn 1 they go. He's got a lot of momentum. Might he go for the move? He goes to the inside. But I don't think he had quite enough momentum. To the inside he goes. As behind them, look at this pack. Percussive runs 4th. Bill Baldwin side by side with Trent Krentz. Trent on the yellow line, and he overtakes Percussive for P4. Percussive back to 5th. Timac has gotten back around Thomas Gayer. As there's just too many exciting battles going on the track to keep up with it all. As Jesse Carlson's gone in the pits, Trent Krentz, Tyler McMurder, Thomas Gayer all pit. 9 laps in, we're going to see a lot of pit stops today, and you really got to hope that you can get an undercut going. because while everybody else stays on the track, they're going to have slipstream and still be running some pretty good laps. So everybody who just pit, Timac, Thomas Gayer, Jesse Carlson, Quarter Panel Outlaw, he's in for his first stop. They got to hope that they get a good undercut because, as you see here, JRB, Pac-Man, they've got slipstream. They're still going to run a good lap. Percussive, Bill Baldwin, they're going to run together. You do not want to run a lap by yourself because the slipstream helps that much. So here we see the rest of that front 8 pit. They pit in groups of 4. So now we go to the leader out of the pits. It's Trenton Krentz. Again, his pit crew works some wonders. That was the story of his race last week. And tonight he jumps a couple guys. Jumped Jesse Carlson, at least. And down the main straight they go. Trent Krentz, who will he beat out of the pits? It's going to be about getting the momentum back. Here comes the rest of that front 8. Pac-Man has jumped JRB out of the pits. JRB falls back to 2nd. Bill Baldwin 3rd. Percussive still runs 4th. So that first group of 4, that pit, actually lose out quite a bit. As Thomas Gayer to the outside of Tyler Mcmurder will slide back in behind him. And Pac-Man, through the pit cycle, jumped JRB. And that gives him the lead. JRB, who led the first 10 laps of the race, falls back to 2nd. And Pac-Man has quite a gap. I expect that gap to close with the slipstream as long as the rest of the pack works together rather than race each other. You see here, it's a two-car tandem of JRB and Bill Baldwin. Percussive with Trent Krentz right behind him. Jesse Carlson's got Tyler Mcmurder right behind him, and Thomas Michael Gayer is going to have to try to hold on. Actually, Rob Oglesby is right behind Thomas. He's really come out of nowhere, and he could make this a 9-car race. Rob Lohman Sr. up to 10th. Quarter Panel Outlaw must have had an issue, so he runs 11th now. So here's Bill Baldwin. Is he trying to go for a move on Percussive? I don't know if racing each other is a good idea, because you want to try to catch up to that leader of Pac-Man. Regardless, it is Toyota, 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 top 5. That was the story of last week, is these Toyotas running really good. Racing each other the whole race while the rest of the pack just kind of hung around. It's Percussive's up in the wall out of turn 2. He'll hope to keep the speed and keep Jesse Carlson behind him, who's made his way back up to 5th. He's gone around Trent Krentz. Jesse all over Percussive's back bumper through turn 2. They slip and slide in corner entry. Looks like they'll hold station. Bill Baldwin's fallen off of JRB a little bit. But it does look like they are closing on your leader, Pac-Man. Inch by inch, millisecond by millisecond. I think they are closing in just a little bit. As Bill Baldwin closes back up a little bit on the main straight. Percussive and the rest of this group definitely closing in on those two. As you see there, you have the top 8 in one camera shot, so they are definitely closing back up. And again, things are going to get very, very crazy. Jesse Carlson, who was running 2nd when he started the pit cycle, falls back to 5th at the end of the pit cycles. He's really got to be kicking himself about that strategy call. That first group of 4 did not beat anybody out on the overcut. The overcut prevails on the first pit stop. As they close back up, and now Pac-Man has JRB all over his back bumper. As here's Jesse Carlson trying to make a move on Percussive, can't quite do it. Trent Krentz has Tyler Mcmurder right behind him. They're trying to hang on to this top 5. JRB to the outside out of turn 2, hits the wall. Doesn't look like he loses too much momentum. Might he try to go for a move on Pac-Man? Through turn 3, it's a tricky place to pass right there. Can't quite do it. He's going to try to hope he gets the speed into turn 1. You can tell by the way he's racing him, he wants to take that lead right back. We saw last week at Willow Springs, once Pac-Man takes the lead, he does not turn back. Once he took that lead, he led the rest of the way. And these guys are going to try to make sure it's not the same story here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. Bill Baldwin, might he try to bump draft JRB in a Group 3 car? Into turn 2, JRB right on Pac-Man's back bumper. And onto the apron through turn 2. just keeps control of the car. Into turn 3, it's Pac-Man doing a great job of making sure he has enough speed to hold off the rest of these guys. Out of turn 3. Turn 1 is where they're going to have to get the move done. This is really reminding me of like Daytona or Talladega NASCAR race. It's all about if somebody's going to make a move, who's going to go with them. As you see Bill Baldwin to the inside of JRB. He's not going to help JRB. He's going to try to help himself. Does not work that time around. But as I was saying, if you're going to try to make a move, at this point you need somebody to go with you and help you with the draft. Because it looks like JRB, if he doesn't have a guy pushing him, he's not going to get around Pac-Man. Already 17 laps into this race. Not quite 13 minutes in. We got a lot of racing to go still. Yellow flag for an incident out of turn 2. We'll see who it is in a second. It's quarter panel outlaw on the bottom of the track. Back up front, the camera shot goes. Jesse Carlson. He runs 5th. He took a little, I don't know if he got loose or if he was taking a peek at a turn 1. But he runs 5th right now in this 5-car breakaway. Tyler Mcmurder and Trent Krenz trying to work together to close back in and make this a 7-car race. Thomas Gayer, he has fallen way back off the tail end of that front pack. That's not what he wants. He was running really good, started 4th. And actually Trent Krenz is into the pits. And yeah, pit cycles will be starting soon. Trent Krenz is going to pit all by himself. You don't really want to do that here at this track where slipstream is key. As they are really getting crazy behind him, Jesse Carlson is up to 30 side-by-side, door-to-door duel with Bill Baldwin. And he wins the battle. Jesse Carlson back up to 3rd. And again, at the end of the pit cycles, Jesse Carlson starts making some crazy moves. And he's back into the podium position. This time he'll hope to hold on to it as he fell back during the pit stops last time around. And Jesse's going to pit by himself. That puts Bill Baldwin back up to 3rd. And JRB, is he going to go for a move into turn 1? I don't think he's got the speed. Tyler Mcmurder goes in behind Jesse Carlson. So they will pit together and try to work together as long as their gap's not too big. So right now, 5 cars in the top 5 yet to pit. Thomas Gayer now entering turn 1. Early on, he would be right with this battle, but he fell back. He lost the draft. And he hopes, with some luck, he can catch back up. So right now, it's 4 cars on track, racing for basically the lead, who have yet to pit. Will any of them dive in this time? Yes, the entire front 4 comes into the pits. Pac-Man, JRB, Percussive, and Bill Baldwin all into the pits. Jesse Carlson, lead car, who has already pit, who in theory should be right with that front 4. Thomas Gayer will stay out. But he, of course, is not really in the running in that top 7. So Jesse Carlson looks like he's going to beat out all those other guys. And Jesse Carlson will take the lead at the net P1 of this race. By quite a distance, in fact. Pac-Man beats out everybody else, but he's got JRB on his inside out of turn 1. And he will pull right back in front of him. And look at this. This group of cars will catch Jesse Carlson very quick. Trent Krenz runs 7th. Tyler Mcmurder just trying to stay in that slipstream. He's trying not to have the same story that Thomas Gayer had. Tyler Mcmurder won this race last season. As right now, Thomas Gayer comes in for his 2nd stop, and that'll hand the lead to Jesse Carlson. And he's got a pack of 6 fast cars working together that will likely catch up very shortly. As long as they don't get too crazy together. JRB, again, going for a move on Pac-Man, 3 turn 1. And Bill Baldwin, I think, is going to pass him. Percussive runs 5th. Trenton Krenz running 6th. Tyler Mcmurder just staying in that slipstream in 7th. Last week at Willow Springs, it was Pac-Man in his debut who stole the show, won the race. Jesse Carlson right now, He hasn't really led much this race. This is just a second lap led, but he has really been stealing the show. He's made a lot of big moves. He started 6th. He now runs 1st. But with the gap closing very quickly back to this pack. Here's Bill Baldwin now. Is he going to go for a move on Pac-Man? Quite possibly. He's going to have help from Percussive, but actually JRB is going to help Pac-Man into turn 2. They're going to go side by side. We don't see this a lot. Bill Baldwin to the inside of Pac-Man and JRB, and he, I think, is going to get around Pac-Man. Into turn 3. This battle is not over. 2 by 2 in front of this group, and Bill Baldwin will clear Pac-Man, but Pac-Man going to try to go for the crossover, but Bill's going to block it off. As this is exactly what Jesse Carlson wants in his rearview mirrors. He wants these guys to battle, and boy, do they battle. Bill Baldwin up 2P2 in front of Pac-Man. Percussive trying to go around the outside of JRB. He'll get that done. Trent Krentz still runs 6th, and Ty Mcmurder holds 7th. Pac-Man, will he try to get back around Bill Baldwin? I don't know. I think that sticking in each other's slipstream should be the key here. But these guys know something I don't, clearly, as they really went at it last lap, and they did gain a little bit still. Bill Baldwin leads this pack of 6 cars back to 7th. Trying to catch up to your leader, Jesse Carlson, who 43.5 last time. Bill Baldwin at the front of this pack had a 43.3, so 2/10 that gap close, and that's a lot. JRB, a little bit of contact with the wall out of turn 2 shouldn't affect him too much. You see, he runs a little higher than Pac-Man, who runs a little higher than Bill Baldwin. Your line through turn 3 will really affect if you can maybe get a move done into turn 1, because you really want to try to carry as much speed as possible down this main straight and have more speed than the guy in front going into turn 1. See Trent Krentz piece to the inside. Don't think he'll get a move done. In fact, that could give Percussive some help if he wants to get around Trenton. It looks like that will not happen. Last time around, it was a 43.5 for Bill Baldwin, 43.4 for Jesse Carlson. So Jesse, it was only by about 0.07 of a second, but Jesse actually pulled away from this pack last time around. And that is very interesting. Of course, we are, again, coming towards the end of this tire cycle. And we've been seeing Jesse is really fast at the end of the tire lives. So, could that be what's going on again? As Trent Krentz and Percussive go at it for 5th and 6th. Looks like they'll hold station where they were. 43.3, 43.2. So again, the gap closes last time around. But Jesse Carlson could hold a big gap between himself and the rest of the pack for at least this entire pit cycle, which at a track like this is very impressive and really shows how fast this car is. As Trent Krentz comes in for a stop, he did this last time around. He pit all by himself. He was the first to pit, and it didn't really make much of a difference. But then we saw the next lap, Jesse Carlson came in by himself. So is that what's going to happen again? We'll see if our leader comes in this time around. Through turn 2 on lap 28. Bill Baldwin still with Pac-Man right behind him. Very feisty with JRB behind him. Percussive, Tyler Mcmurder. Trent Krentz comes out of the pits still in 7th. And here's Jesse Carlson. He will come into the pits this time around. This is huge. This is your leader in for his 3rd stop of the day. And Bill Baldwin will take the race lead. And will they go at it for what should be a net 2nd position? I don't know. They might work together and just try to get the overcut to work to their advantage. The overcut, for the most part, has really worked. Jesse Carlson was the one who got the undercut to work last time around, but he was really the only one to get that done. And this is huge. Jesse Carlson has come out behind Trent Krentz. Your leader, Jesse Carlson, either had a long stop or, again, Trent Krenz just has a really, really good stop. And he will come out in front of Jesse Carlson, and the gap between these two is pretty large. Ty Mcmurder comes in for his third stop. He's all by himself, but Jesse Carlson definitely will not be leading the race after this pit cycle. Of course, he has 1 lap fresher tires, but that is insane. Trent Krenz, again, his pit crew working wonders. Here's Tyler McMurder. He's leaving the pits. Will he jump either one of these two? He comes out, and he looks like he's going to jump him. So he gets the overcut to work. And he'll come out in 5th. Which I think is a position better than when the pit cycle started. And the rest of your front 4 comes out. So this is huge. Tyler McMurder, could he possibly have the race lead? I don't know. But Jesse Carlson has gotten back around Trent Krenz, and he has got to be really bothered by either his pit crew being really slow or Trent Krenz just having the best pit crew on the grid. Here's Pac-Man. I think he's beat everybody else out of the pits. Yes, Bill Baldwin comes up behind him. JRB. Percussive is still in the pits. He took a lot of fuel, and Pac-Man will take the race lead. The rest of this front pack really jumped the guys who pit all by themselves. So Pac-Man comes out just in front of Bill Baldwin. He jumps him in the pits. JRB runs 3rd. Tyler McMurder runs 4th. So he makes up quite a couple positions. Then when the pit cycle started, Jesse Carlson getting very racy behind him. Trent Krenz runs 6th. Percussive had a really slow stop. He runs 7th. Thomas Gayer runs 8th. Rob Oglesby 9th. Rob Lohman Sr. 10th. And Quarter Panel Outlaw 11th. It's Bill Baldwin running 2nd. He is right on Pac-Man's back bumper again. Right now, it's the top 3 racing each other. And I don't know, these are 3 of the quickest cars on track all throughout the race, so it'll be interesting to see if everybody else can catch back up to them. I don't know if they will. This might become a 3-car race now. It'll be very interesting. We still have over 35 minutes to go. But right now, top 3 have really broken away, and as long as they don't fight each other too much, it'll be hard to catch them. And here you see Jesse Carlson trying to make a move on Tyler McMurder into turn 1. He gets it done before the braking zone. And I believe he's one of the fastest guys out there. So if he's in front of this second charging pack, as long as they work together, they might just catch this front 3. 43.8 last time for JRB. 43.6 last time for Jesse Carlson. Leader Pac-Man ran a 43.6 as well. So, I don't know, gap staying just about even. Trent Krenz, who jumped Jesse Carlson by pitting early, has now fallen back to 6th, and he's got Percussive all over him. So his strategy worked wonders for a couple laps, but now he's fallen back. I don't know if that's the older tires. The tires do wear very quickly here, as we've seen them pit before they even do 10 laps. So pit window is about 8 to 10 laps, I'd say. As here we see Bill Baldwin right on Pac-Man going into turn 2 for the 35th time tonight. Into turn 3, your top 3 have broken away from the rest of the field. We'll check the lap times this time. Pac-Man will run a 43.6 and 43.1 for Jesse Carlson. Or no, that's a different lap time. As actually Jesse's going to wash up out of turn 1. Tyler McMurder might go for a move. No, he's a little too far back. We actually, yeah, 43.1 last time around for Jesse Carlson and a 43.6 for Pac-Man. So they gain half a second. And that's a lot. So they are gaining, but they just got to make sure that they are perfect with their teamwork. Right now, it's really just Jesse Carlson and Tyler McMurder running a 2-car tango, as Percussive and Trent Krenz have raced each other. Percussive's now gone around Trenton. And Trenton really seems to be off the pace. 43.9, ran a 44.1 a couple laps ago. He might be trying to pull off some fuel strategy gamble. But right now, Pac-Man is going to let Bill Baldwin go right by him on the inside, followed by JRB. This might be some sort of strategy play. Pac-Man might be getting into the slipstream of these two guys now in front of him and try to save some fuel. That might be what Trent Krentz is doing as well, because he's really off the pace. And that might be why these two are catching so quickly, is they might be just trying to save fuel, and these two are more focused on just catching, as Trent Krentz is in to pit for the 4th time today. So, yes, the top 5 now cover him with a blanket, as Jesse Carlson and Tyler Mcmurder have caught right back up. Bill Baldwin leads. Pac-Man, last lap, let him right by going into turn 2. I think he's trying to save some fuel. JRB with Pac-Man all over him, washing right up the track. The hold position. Jesse Carlson, whose blinker is on, might he be going for a move? Could he be indicating? Dodge it to the inside of Pac-Man. Doesn't look like he'll have the momentum to get it done. Really looks like he lost a lot of momentum out of turn 1. Yes, he does, and Tyler Mcmurder will go around the outside. Jesse really got loose out of turn 1, and he has fallen way back. Look at the gap. Jesse Carlson, who is running 4th place, has really fallen back. He might be coming into pit this time. That could really save him, as he's fallen out of the draft. Yes, he will come in, and Tyler Mcmurder in front of him has come in as well. So now it's 3 cars on track. Percussive, you see in the background, runs 4th. He's kind of in the mix. It'll be interesting to see how this pit cycle plays out. But right now, it's this top 3 really going at it. They led that last pit cycle, and they're going to look to stay in front again this time. But what will be important to pay attention to is if Tyler Mcmurder and Jesse Carlson has jump tie, by the way, if they come out in front of Trent Krentz, which it looks like they do. So, Trent Krentz, who had an overcut work really well last time around, has it really not worked this time around. And Jesse jumps tie out of the pits. Those two are going to try to work together to jump these guys who stay out another lap. Percussive also staying out another lap. So your front 4 have yet to pit. And this has made it very interesting, because these guys do seem to be stretching out quite a bit. They might be saving their tires, might be saving some fuel. That's definitely what Pac-Man was doing when he let Bill and JRB go right by him. They were definitely saving fuel. And that could mean that they do one last stop if they do it well enough. And at a track like this, that is important, as now they all come in. All 3 come in. And Pac-Man's been having some really good pit stops. I wouldn't be surprised if he jumps everyone else. So now here is the first car on track not in the pits. That is Jesse Carlson, followed closely by Tyler Mcmurder. They go through turn 2 now, as the rest of the front 4 complete their pit stops. Trent Krentz quite a ways behind those two. As they come out of turn 3 now, onto the front straightaway. Bill Baldwin has jumped Pac-Man. No, he did not jump Pac-Man. Actually, they come out bumper to bumper to bumper. So they hold station, and there goes Jesse Carlson and Tyler Mcmurder around the outside. Can they clear him out of turn 1? Jesse Carlson trying to take head of this race again. He's side-by-side, door-to-door duel into turn 2 with Bill Baldwin. Can he get the job done? They're still side-by-side. And he's going to have to pull in. Can he clear JRB? No, JRB's going to force him wide as well. Pac-Man, will he get back around Jesse into turn 3? Yes, he will. So, the front 3 hold their positions out of the pits. And then Jesse Carlson and Tyler Mcmurder almost got right around him. If they were half a second faster, they would have gone right around him on the outside. Couldn't quite do it. And Percussive, we said it before he pit, he might catch back up to this lead group, and he has. He stretched out the fuel like our top 3 did. So he had a shorter pit stop time, And now he's right at the tail end of this front six-pack. Trenton Krentz quite a ways back in 7th. So Bill Baldwin leads at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. Lap 42, we're past the halfway point. And this top 3 on the fresher tires. I wouldn't be surprised if they just drive off now, because Ty and Jesse definitely had to be pushing. And also, by default, their tires are going to be more worn because they had 2, maybe even 3 laps longer on the tires. As you see there, Tyler Mcmurder makes a mistake out of turn 1, and Percussive drives right around him, and now Ty is going to really have to try to hang on to that slipstream. But as we've seen, slipstream, not running in front might be your friend, because if you stay in that slipstream, you're going to save fuel, and that's what this top 3 and Percussive did, and that really helped him out a lot. As you see here, Pac-Man trying to hold off Jesse Carlson while also trying to get around JRB. Bill Baldwin still leads. Bill Baldwin last week led the first 6 laps at Willow Springs, made just 1 mistake all race. He ran wide out of the final corner, hit the wall, fell all the way deep in the field, then pulled off a strategy gamble and still finished in 3rd. And right now, some of these guys do look like they're making some strategy gambles. Bill Baldwin leading that group of guys. And he could be going for even further redemption than just a comeback drive. He could be going for a redemption victory. Right now, he's looking really good as he leads the way coming to lap 45. Trenton Krentz into pit already. This seems kind of early. He was running by himself. He might... I'm not really sure what his strategy is now. He was running by himself. He was way out of the draft of this top 6. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly he's trying to pull. Could he be short pitting and just trying to put down some really fast laps now? That could be a possibility. Because right now, this front 4 have broken away just a little bit from Percussive and Ty Mcmurder, who seem to be going at it quite a bit. Jesse Carlson doing a good job of staying with his front 3 despite having older tires. We have seen when the tires get old, he does seem to be a little faster, actually. As Ty Mcmurder now going back around Percussive, clears him just as they enter the braking zone. Nice move by Ty. You saw it in the background there. Now Percussive, could he have the momentum to pull off a crossover down this back straightaway? I don't think so. He's fallen off just a little bit. Update on the guys that we haven't really seen today. It appears Rob Lohman Sr. and Quarter Panel Outlaw have dropped out of the race. Rob Oglesby runs 9th, couple laps down. Thomas Gare, who early in the he started 4th, and early on in the race, he was right up there and fell out of the draft, and that can be deadly. He's almost a lap down now as he runs 8th. Trenton Krentz pulling off an interesting strategy call. Runs 7th, and then the top 6, you see them all on your screen right there. Bill Baldwin leads JRB to Pac-Man, Jesse Carlson, Tyler Mcmurder, and Percussive. Looks like right now everybody's just going to try to stay calm as we're a little past halfway now. Crazy to think we're only just past halfway. But things are a little more calm. I think everybody's deciding, let's just stay in each other's slipstream, save some fuel. Because that really will help out. See right now, the top 4 have really broken away from 5th and 6th. But as we've seen, when everybody pits, those gaps could close right up. Whatever Trenton Krentz is doing, he could close that gap right up. As you see into turn 2, JRB all over Bill Baldwin. And Bill runs way up high through turn 2. I think he's going to be letting them by. We saw Pac-Man do this last time around. As now he's side by side with Pac-Man. I don't know if there was... Oh, Pac-Man out of the wall. Or out of turn 3 into the wall. He looks like he's okay, though. As Jesse Carlson pits... I don't know if Bill Baldwin was letting him by, because he really raced Pac-Man. If he was letting him by, I think he would just let him by pretty easily, but he went at it with Pac-Man. So he might have just washed up out of turn 2. But I don't know. As you see here, he's really fallen off of Pac-Man. Tyler Mcmurder, by the way, he's also in the pits. He's with Jesse Carlson again. They pit together. Back up front, you see Bill Baldwin has really dropped off of JRB and Pac-Man. Will they come in this time? They do not. Your entire front four still staying out. And this looks exactly like it did about 10 laps ago. Top 3 breakaway. Bill Baldwin a little off the top 2. And the percussive just off in the background, trying to pull off the same strategy. Jesse Carlson leading Tyler Mcmurder with Trent Krentz behind them. This is exactly how the last pit window looked. And we know how close Jesse Carlson was to leading this race. At the end of that pit window, can he pull it off this time around? Out of turn 3 come your front 4. Will they come in this time? Yes, JRB comes in. Pac-Man behind him. Bill Baldwin will follow. And here comes Percussive running 4th. He will come in as well. So now the focus is on Jesse Carlson and Tyler Mcmurder. Have they put down fast enough laps to close in? This is the lap. This is the money lap right here to get in front of them all. Out of turn 3, as Bill Baldwin leaves his box, here comes Jesse Carlson, and they will not clear him. They might just beat off. Who is that? No, Percussive just exit. They will beat out Percussive. That's Jesse Carlson and Tyler Mcmurder. Bill Baldwin runs 3rd. JRB still 1st with Pac-Man on his back bumper. Bill Baldwin, who fell back a lot at the end of the pit cycle there. That really has not done him any favors, as he is way off this front 2. As you see, Thomas Gayer running 8th, now a lap down. So this front 2 now breaking away. As long as they're nice to each other, I don't think anybody's going to catch them. And now Bill Baldwin might fall back into the grasp of Jesse Carlson and Tyler Mcmurder. Percussive not far off of them, and Trent Krentz a little behind him. So JRB has Pac-Man all over his bumper. JRB has led a majority of this race. Pac-Man has been running 2nd, 3rd majority of this race. Led a little bit early on. Bill Baldwin we saw lead quite a bit. Jesse Carlson led an entire pit cycle. Way out in front of the pack. Early on he looked like he could be the driver to beat. But through a slow pit stop he really fell back. And now he's trying to catch back up. Tyler Mcmurder has just hung around, tailing the top 5 all day. As Trent Krentz has come in again. And again, that's a really fast, or really early pit stop. But Ty Mcmurder has run tailing the top 5 all day. Maybe setting up some late race moves to get inside that top 5. Percussive has hung around, doing much of the same today. Runs 6th right now. Trent Krentz fell out of the draft, and now he's trying to pull off some very interesting strategy gambles. Thomas Gayer now going a lap down for the first time today. He runs 8th. Early on, he was running 4th, made one mistake, fell back to 8th. Still hung around in the front pack, but just lost the slipstream after the first pit stop. And since then, he's just been falling back. And now he runs 8th, just going a lap down now. Rob Oglesby runs 9th, couple laps down. Quarter Panel Outlaw and Rob Lohman Sr. have dropped out. Chris Ryan did not make the start. And that is how your top 12 looks. Your whole top 12. The whole grid. As here we see Pac-Man into turn 3. We finish running through the field. Pac-Man running a little higher than JRB. Could he be trying to set up a move into turn 1? Carry the momentum down the front straightaway. I think he's a little too far back. As they start lap 55. So you are now under 20 minutes to go here at the Blue Moon Bay Speedway Grand Prix. Pac-Man running 2nd, trying to go 2 for 2 here in 2020 to start off the season. But he's got JRB in the way of that. Bill Baldwin now has Jesse Carlson and Tyler Mcmurder filling his rear view mirror. Bill, I don't know what he was doing. He really dropped out of the slipstream of Pac-Man and JRB before the last pit stop, and that has not helped him at all, as now he's got Jesse Carlson trying to take a peek to his inside through turn 3. He is door-to-door with him, but Bill's going to have the momentum. I don't know. Jesse might clear him. Jesse's got his indicator on, this time the other one. And very kind of him to use his blinker as he pulls in front of Bill Baldwin. Ty watches that go down from 5th place. So Bill Baldwin, who was leading a couple laps before that last pit stop, falls back to 4th. And now he's definitely going to go right back at Jesse. Into turn 3 for the 56th time tonight. He's going to try the outside and carry the momentum. Jesse's going to block him off. But if Bill gets some help from Ty behind him, Jesse's going to fall back to 5th, maybe even, or to 4th, maybe even 5th. Right now, though, Jesse still holds 3rd place on the podium. But Bill is right on his back bumper down the back straightaway. Into turn 2 they go. It's a hard place to pass. He's going to just try to stick with him and go for a move into turn 3 again. Jesse on the apron, that's really not going to do him any favors. Bill's going to have a lot more momentum than him going into turn 3. But does not really go for a move. He's going to try to carry the speed from the outside lane. Jesse runs to the bottom to try to break the slipstream. Jesse Carlson, one of the youngest drivers in all of NOSSCAR, holding off Super GT champion and GT Cup runner-up Bill Baldwin, and also NOSSCAR president Tyler Mcmurder. So Jesse Carlson doing a great job of defending some very talented drivers here on that bottom step of the podium. Through turn 3, Bill Baldwin around the outside. He might have it done this time around. Jesse's still on the bottom. We've seen if he goes too far low, he gets loose. Actually, Jesse has gone into the pits along with Ty, and now Bill is going to try to run the lap of his life to get back up to 3rd place. Meanwhile, back up front, Pac-Man still just sitting in JRB slipstream. These two just doing their own thing, a 2-car tango up front. As we close into just 15 minutes to go here at Blue Moon Bay. And it looks like Tyler Mcmurder has jumped now, Jesse Carlson out of the pits. That's very, very big. As if these two work together, that could put Ty into a podium position. You've seen, though, Jesse is very aggressive right out of the box. If he loses his position, he's going to want it right back. Back up front we go. Your top two have yet to pit. Bill Baldwin yet to pit. Percussive running 4th all by himself. Yet to pit. Trang Krentz is trying some very interesting short pitting strategy. Is not far off of Ty Mcmurder and Jesse Carlson. But of course his pit stops come a lot earlier than everybody else's. Here's your leaders again. Will they pit this time around? Looks like they do. Pac-Man try to get a move done before they even entered the pit road. Couldn't quite get it done. Bill Baldwin will come in. So first the focus is on who will win the race off of pit road, JRB or Pac-Man. Percussive's also in from 4th. And then another question is, will Ty and Jesse beat out Bill Baldwin? You see that number 19 Mountain Dew Toyota filling up, and JRB will just beat out Pac-Man out of the pits. So now the focus goes on Tyler Mcmurder and Jesse Carlson. Will they beat out Bill Baldwin, who has just now left the pits? Do they have the momentum around the outside? Yes, they will easily clear him. But they got 2 more laps on the tires. So it will be interesting to see if they can hold him behind him. That puts Tyler Mcmurder, last season's race winner here, into a podium position of P3. Jesse Carlson running P4, Bill Baldwin running P5. So right now, there is a race for the lead, for sure, between these two, JRB and Pac-Man. Tyler Mcmurder, Jesse Carlson, Bill Baldwin, the race for 5th. Percussive has really fallen off of those guys. Looks like he's going to just try to hang on, keep the car facing the right way, take home 6th. Trent Krentz runs 7th with a very strange strategy that I've yet to crack. Runs 7th. Thomas Gare runs 8th. Rob Oglesby still 9th. So right now, there's a race on for the lead and a race on for P3. And if my calculations are correct, we should have maybe 2 stops left. If they do a great job of saving fuel, maybe 1. But I think it'll be 2 stops. But of course, these guys know a lot better than I do. Jesse Carlson with Tyler Mcmurder right behind him and Bill Baldwin right behind him. Will Bill go for a move into turn 1? This is where we've seen most of the moves done. Ooh, Jesse lags a little bit up in front, and that's going to mess up Ty, and Bill Baldwin's going to go around the Canadian. Actually, they're still side by side down the back straightaway, and Bill will slide back in. Don't count Ty out of P4 quite yet. In fact, Jesse, I didn't even acknowledge this, Jesse got around Ty at some point. So, Jesse Carlson back up into a podium position. As right now, oh, contact there, Ty. All the way to the bottom of the track. Bill Baldwin made a bit of contact with his back bumper, sent Ty way out of shape, and Ty's, this time, is going to fall back to P5. So, anyway, Jesse Carlson at one point looked like the car to beat. He was looking really fast. Led a whole pit cycle way in front of the pack. The pack never closed back up to him. But something went wrong in that pit stop. It was just way too long, lost a lot of time, and fell out of the lead. And since then has been struggling to even get back into the podium positions. But right now, running P3, he is on the podium, but he's got a very fast Bill Baldwin right behind him. And around his outside, Bill Baldwin, what a move if he can get it done. And it looks like he hasn't quite got it done. NASCAR roof, Jesse Carlson still to his inside. And Jesse Carlson will somehow keep Bill Baldwin behind him. Bill, I thought had the momentum around the outside, but Jesse just stayed in front down the main straight and pulled back in front. I think Bill was racing smarter, not harder that time, and let him back by. But Bill definitely had a big move on Jesse Carlson out of turn 3 around the outside. It was a heck of a move, and I think he let Jesse back in front of him. And I think that's Bill trying to save some fuel. So you see again he goes to his outside. This time won't be alongside him. As Tyler Mcmurder is getting a good angle of all this. See Percussive back in the background. If these guys race each other hard enough, Percussive might be on in this battle. 44.4 was Bill's time last time. And up front, it was a 43.6. So almost a whole second between these two groups. So I don't think that battle for P3 is going to catch this battle for P1. In fact, it looks like Pac-Man's dropping back just a little bit off JRB. But that could be him maybe trying to get a gap and have the slipstream give him even more momentum into turn 1. That could be the move he's trying to set up. Doesn't have it this time around. As we are now under 10 minutes to go in this race. And it'll be very interesting to see if they could go one stop for the rest of the way. It'll be very, very close, as they are definitely coming up to their next stop very soon. Come to lap 68. As Thomas Gare, who's a lap down, takes his pit stop. So that, at least to me, signals that pit stops will start pretty soon. But these guys definitely trying to save some fuel. They might wait a little bit, maybe a lap 70. This battle for P3 looks the same as it did when we last checked up on him. Jesse Carlson 3rd, Bill Baldwin 4th, Tyler Mcmurder 5th. Right now, I think they're trying to calm down and just make it to the end of this cycle. Or maybe they're trying to calm down and maybe realize that if they work together, they will maybe just catch that lead too. You tell by the timing sheets, Bill Baldwin is really taking it easy on Jesse. His pace is way off what we know he's capable of, so I think he's just riding in Jesse's slipstream, trying to save a lot of fuel. Meanwhile, Tyler Mcmurder has really dropped off of those two. He was 3 seconds slower that time than his personal best. That whole second slower than his lap before then. And actually, he's got Percussive right behind him. So I said a couple laps ago, Percussive might just get back into this battle for P3. And right now, if he can catch Ty and they work together, they could catch and maybe make a move. Right now, though, it's Jesse Carlson running P3. We're still awaiting their possible last stop. And yes, here comes Jesse and Ty. Bill Baldwin last second swerves in the pit road as well. Percussive comes in. So third back to sixth all come into pit on lap 69, end of lap 69. Your leaders are on lap 70. Will they pit this time around? We will find out. Coming up to 7 minutes to go. It'll be very close on if they can make it without another stop. And your front two come in. And this could be the money stop right here. JRB and Pac-Man, your lead two, who will win that race off pit road. While we wait for that, Percussive has jumped Tyler Mcmurder and Jesse Carlson. Again, Jesse has a slow stop and cost him a podium position. Bill Baldwin up to P3, quite a way ahead of Percussive. Tyler Mcmurder, Jesse Carlson. Pac-Man, by the way, has jumped JRB for the lead here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway by quite a gap. Pac-Man has a really big gap back to JRB. What a stop by the Mountain Dew crew. And let's check the time. 4 seconds ahead of JRB. He was on his bumper going into pit road, and now he can barely even see him in his mirror. That gap closes up, we'll let you know, but right now the story is, can these two, who've worked together quite a bit today, Tyler Mcmurder and Jesse Carlson, can they close back up to Percussive and Bill Baldwin? That'll be an interesting story. Or will Bill be able to just carry some good pace the rest of the way and take home another P3? Percussive runs fourth. He's gonna definitely have Tyler Mcmurder and Jesse Carlson right up on his back bumper in the coming laps. So battle for P4 definitely gonna go down here in the closing stages of this race. As you see Percussive hit the wall a little bit there. Will they catch Bill though? That'll be interesting. As you see, Percussive has these two go around his outside. Could that be him trying to save that fuel though? Could he have let him by to just get sucked along the track and save some fuel? Jesse Carlson has run in such good positions all night long, and then he pits and just loses that position. He's going to be very frustrated with that 48 team. But it's not over yet. We close into 5 minutes to go. He could still definitely get P3 if they can close into Bill Baldwin, who, by the looks of it, will have his mirrors full of Nissan GTR. Through turn 3 for the 73rd time. Looks like it's going to be a 4-car battle for P3. Bill Baldwin will lead Tyler Mcmurder, Jesse Carlson, and Percussive. That's the battle for P3. Whilst Pac-Man holds a really big lead still on JRB. Now go back to this battle for P3. Bill Baldwin running higher as Tyler Mcmurder took a peek to the inside. Will they go for the move, or are they going to wait as long as possible to make sure that they can make it to the end on fuel? Fuel and tires. Big issue to the end of this race on if they can make it. We're now under 4 minutes to go. Tyler Mcmurder going to try to take a peek to the inside of turn 3 now. Can't quite get it done. Down the front straightaway, Jesse Carlson's going to help Ty to the inside. It's 2 by 2 into turn 1. And Tyler Mcmurder is going to not quite clear Bill Baldwin. They're side by side at turn 2. Bill hits the wall, and now he's got Jesse on his back bumper. He's going to block off Jesse. Now he's got Percussive to his outside, and Bill Baldwin's gone from 3rd to 5th, just like that. Tyler Mcmurder back up into a podium position in P3. Percussive up to P4. Bill Baldwin P5. Jesse Carlson P6. Jesse, who helped Ty, loses out the most out of... Well, actually, no. Bill, I'd say, lost out the most, but... Jesse Carlson, who helped Ty into a podium position, falls from, I believe, 5th back to 6th. That's what you get for being the nice guy, especially in the late stages of this race. Now here's Bill Baldwin helping Percussive to the inside of Ty into turn 1. Percussive and Bill will both clear the GTR. Percussive runs wide out of 2, and it's going to be 3 wide for a second there. Ty going to go back up the middle with help from Jesse Carlson. Into turn 2 for the 76th time tonight. Side by side behind Ty. 3 wide for a second there. Bill trying to get back around Percussive. Percussive to the outside. Bill Baldwin right behind him. Percussive now up into P3. Bill Baldwin to the outside of Ty for P4. Jesse Carlson is going to try to stick with Ty and make a move back up through this battle. Under 2 minutes to go here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway, and things are getting really feisty for the last step on the podium. Jesse Carlson and Tyler Mcmurder have worked well together all day. They're going to work well together here at the end of this Grand Prix. Actually, Jesse's going to leave Ty out to dry, but does Ty need the help? He might just clear Percussive into turn 2 and take P3 back. He does. But Bill Baldwin might help Percussive right back around the outside. Through turn 3, there's a slow car of Trenton Krentz who's gone a lap down. Won't be too much of an issue. Percussive on the outside. Still holding that P3 side by side with Tyler Mcmurder. Bill Baldwin going to give Percussive the push. And Percussive will take P3. Can Bill clear Ty, or can Ty clear Bill? Jesse right behind Ty. They're still side by side for P4. Now Bill finally clears Tyler Mcmurder. So Percussive takes P3, Bill Baldwin P4, Tyler Mcmurder P5, Jesse Carlson P6. Things have really shaken up. Percussive out of nowhere into a podium position. He's got Bill Baldwin right on his back bumper through turn 3. We are under a minute to go here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. While we were focused on this battle for P3, Pac-Man now has JRB all over his back bumper. This is probably the final lap of the race. Can JRB make a last lap move to win the race? Through turn 2, he's all over his back bumper. He's going to try to get to the inside in turn 3. He loses a little bit of momentum out of turn 2. It's going to be a big move if he can get it done. Pac-Man coming up to the checkered flag. Can he keep JRB behind him? It looks like he will. Come to the checkered flag. Pac-Man weaving to break the slipstream. Pac-Man will go 2 for 2 in 2020 and win at Blue Moon Speedway. Meanwhile, Bill Baldwin gets around the inside of Percussive for P3. Percussive will fall back to P4. And that is where they will finish. Ty Mcmurder 5th. Jesse Carlson 6th. Trent Krentz 7th. Thomas Gary 8th. And Rob Oglesby will finish 9th. What an insane final couple laps here at Blue Moon Bay Speedway to finish off the second round of this 2020 NOSSCAR GT Cup Series season. And we hope that we will see you next week for the Belgium Grand Prix.